It's like almost. Okay, I believe we're live.
Woohoo! As far as we know, we are live.
Oh, cool. And we have, all right. Okay, I believe we're live. It's that echo thing. Okay, so I got to close that window right after. Okay, cool. All right, we're live. Okay, Marty, go. You're a lady.
Okay, go. So I'm Marnie Barenko. This is the lovely Crystal
Crawford.
Yeah, and this is the What Now show, and we've been doing this about 3 weeks, and we've been very random, like popping in whenever we feel like it, and then we're like, maybe a consistent time would be good. So as much as we do consistent, we're gonna go for 12 noon Pacific time on Wednesdays, and we'll just be talking about different things every week, kind of where it came from. We were just having conversations. We all hit these points in our life of what now? It's like, maybe you just found out your kid's doing drugs and you're like, what now? Maybe you thought you knew what you believed in terms of God, religion, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden that all derails and crumbles and you're going, what now? Or the perfect relationship you thought you had is no longer the perfect relationship and it's falling apart and you're going, what now? So we all have these what now moments. And that's what we are getting together every Wednesday, just to talk about different topics about when you get to that what now place, and some tools and some things to maybe kind of walk through it in another way.
I'm sharing us on Facebook right now. What
Nice!
now? I'm sharing us.
That's awesome. You're so techy.
You can do with technology when you are Facebook living. So
that's cool. I'm glad it's you and not me. And just before we jump into today's topic, we use tools from Access Consciousness. And if you're not familiar with what that is, you can go to accessconsciousness.com and find out all kinds of stuff. Gary Douglas and Dane here are the founders. And the thing I love about it is it's not a modality. It's not a practice. It's not a religion. It's not something that you follow. The whole premise is if something's working in your life, keep it. And if something isn't, here's some tools and processes that you can use to change it. And I know Crystal and I both, being seekers of the world, tried a million things and modalities. And for me, and I know you can speak to this as well, some things worked for a while and then they didn't. And what I am so grateful for about these tools is it changes stuff, and it changes stuff fast. And there's no point of you being impelled on you. It's what do you know and what works for you. So did you want to add to that?
I did. Yeah. The thing that I love more than anything about these tools is that things can actually change. And I spent so much of my life feeling really powerless about my life, powerless about how I felt, powerless about what was going on, powerless to change it, powerless to feel any different. And so these tools actually take what seems impossible with traditional stuff and actually make it possible to change anything. So That's all I was going to say. And I know a lot of you joining us live are already into Access Consciousness, so it might seem like a little bit of a repeat, but even for you guys that are listening that have been into Access Consciousness, I would really start to look at I've been really in my own world, really looking at the basic stuff that we learn right in the beginning, like foundation class. And I've been reapplying it in a really different way, and it's been changing my world again. So I remember Dane said in one class one time, Dane here is one of the co-creators of Access, and he said, listen to this, be in this class as if you've never been to an Access class before. And I would just invite you to start to invite yourself to that with every single conversation you hear. You're like, because sometimes I remember I used to tune into conversations like this, and then I'd be like, oh, they're talking about basic stuff. It's not for me.
Right.
Oh, no. It's for you.
And how many times do we go on autopilot, especially with the things we think we have handled or the things we think are working in our life? So instead of staying in question, we don't even think about asking questions. Yeah. And so just remembering that to always be in question and always asking what else is possible. And what seems really basic has a power to change everything and make it greater. So I love our topic today. You came up with it, and I want to invite you to start on it. I think you actually brought it up in one of we've been in a lot of meetings today already. But we have.
That whole thing of shit, shit is what I'm asking for actually showing up. What now?
Yeah.
Can you say more about what's going on in your world that prompted this topic?
Yeah. So just, for the last few months, it's just really every day, like asking for more, asking to create more, asking to show up in the world more, asking for greater and more and greater and more, and creating beyond limitations. And what can I add? And just really in the space of creation moving beyond limitations, and just asking and asking and asking. And then, and actually my favorite clearing is, how does it start? I just had a brain.
Favorite clearing has no
is it energy, space, and to be out of control, out of definition,
out of linearity, out of definition, out of form and structure for all eternity.
That one. And I've said it enough. I should know my mantra, but it's been my daily, like not even daily, like moment by moment question of what's it going to take to go beyond all of this stuff and just go out of the control of where I've been limiting myself in my life.
Let me ask you about that, because that's actually a pretty freaky clearing for a lot of people.
A lot, right?
Because like being out of definition, being out of form and structure, being out of concentricity, being out of any reference points, being out of anything that is familiar to you is like, who would choose that?
Right.
Why would you choose that? So what is it about that clearing or that possibility that has you actively inviting it into your world in every moment? What is that?
Yeah. So there's this always having known that something else had to be possible in the world. And, sometimes when you look around, and I don't listen to the news because I just don't. But when you do look around and you look at the stuff that's going on and you go, I know something else is possible. So there was a piece of that I know there's something greater for the world, and what invitation can I be to that? And what's it going to take for me to be a part of contributing to that?
So what is it about being a different invitation where it's like that clearing allows you to be, as opposed to like going from point A to point B, or the linearity that we're taught? And there's so many examples of that linearity. I mean, like it can be like, actually, words, like from the point of view of business, right? Or creating business or creating a life, like even the way, like it's always been this way, this is the way we do it, which is very linear, as opposed to like, what else is possible? What would actually create here? That goes into that whole no definition, no form and structure.
Right.
I'm not sure what my question is, but it's like, so what makes you a different possibility? So what?
So, right. So who cares?
Right?
I just care. No. It's just, I mean, it's sort of like, I don't know if this came up on our conversation last week or not, but we were talking about the Wright brothers and airplanes, or I even look at like Apple and Steve Jobs and people who have literally changed things on the planet. They just weren't satisfied. And maybe that's what it is there's just this dissatisfaction that I've always had of, this is it? Really? You fucking kidding? This is it? There's gotta be more. And I always made that wrong. Like that dissatisfaction. What's the matter with me? Why can't I just be content? Why is there always this longing for something else? Why can't you just be normal? Why can't you just have the little house and be the little, whatever? And I wasn't. There was a dissatisfaction, but then I got, dissatisfaction is actually a gift that like propels you forward to being willing to look beyond everyone else has already decided this is as far as we can go, and go, but if that wasn't a limitation, then what could we create? If that wasn't a stopping point, I wonder what else is out there. It's like,
it's a constantly inviting yourself to what else is possible, to that fact that there must be something else possible, that there always is something else possible. And that whole sense of there's just got to be more than this has driven me my whole life.
Yes.
And now what I find is that it's showing up in the more subtle ways, in the more like nuanced, where I'll notice that I go to a conclusion. Just a real life example right now is like our house situation. We live in this beautiful house, but our landlord is crazy and really crazy. And it's really difficult to get repairs made and everything. But living here and being all together, I have 2 roommates, so there's 3 of us, is really light. And so I found myself really wanting, recently our landlord's kind of up to the ante, and I'm like, I just don't really want to deal with this. Like there's a demand in my world for a lot more ease, and maybe I'll just, choose something else, move out, do that. And so I've noticed that I started to go to the conclusions and the stories that justify those conclusions, rather than really asking like, what else is possible here that I haven't considered? Like my big thing is I don't really want to have to deal with my landlord. Do I have to move out to get that? Or could I ask another question and see what else would be possible that might create something greater than I'd even considered?
Yeah.
I started looking at the energy of like, what creates more, staying with these 2 or moving out on my own? Because none of us really have a point of view. We could choose anything.
Mm-hmm.
What actually creates the future I'm asking for?
Yes.
And being willing to ask that question.
Yes.
Opens me up to energies, or the awareness of energies, or the awareness of futures that I wasn't asking for before. by going to the conclusion of, well, I'll just move out, or maybe that's what I'll choose, or none of those are questions that open me up to the awareness of a future.
Yes.
And that, well,
Yeah.
that for me has just been recent, really. In the last 2 days, I've really been like, what if I were always willing to be aware of a future that is greater than the one I could figure out in my head?
Right. And asking that question, what you just said, and then from the space of that question, you make the choices that start moving you towards that possible future. And you can't put it into words or define it or cognitize it in any way. You just know, I'm asking for something greater. I'm asking for something more. I'm asking for possibility. I'm asking to show up as the infinite being I truly am, instead of trying to make myself small. That's the future I'm choosing. And then you start to then you start to choose based on going in that direction.
Right. And it's so that is not a brain thing.
Not at all a brain thing.
That's a sense of an energy thing. And in the How to Become Money workbook, I love this. Somebody asks in the class, like, how do you see energy? And he said, you see energy with the sensation of the awareness of it.
Yes. And that's where the whole, back to the clearing out of control and definition of limitation. So often we go, I live in this kind of house. I'd like to live in that kind of house. I drive this kind of car. I'd like to drive that kind of car. I would like to, we try to go in a linear cognitive way. I'm here. I'd like to get here. And so the out of definition and out of limitation is actually going, okay, I'm going to stop looking at it in terms of defining the things that I think would take me to the energy, and actually being willing to perceive the energy of what you'd like your life to look like. So that's almost the starting question, is what is the energy I desire to be in the world? And what is the energy I desire as my life? And then you start to get the sense of, like, whoa, okay. And then for that to be the energy that I be in the world, and for that to be the energy of my life, how many definitions of me do I need to let go of? How many limitations, right? Just one or two. Fingers, toes. Okay, when we grab the dog, we'll count the dog.
Everything that is.
Right? Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, puck, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And if you're listening and you don't know what I just said, you can go to, what is it, theclearingstatement.com? Crystal, I think I just lost you. I think she just jumped off. Nora says never, right? So anyway, I don't know where she is. She has fallen off the planet. Let me see. So, well, in the meantime. Okay. So out of control, out of definition, out of limitation, all of that kind of stuff. She's coming back, she says. That's funny. Technical difficulties. Can you run the definition clearing again? Form structure. So Daniel, if I understand your question, what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my body be, hi Crystal, to be out of control, out of definition, out of limitation, out of linearity, out of concentricity for all eternity. And everything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion, can we destroy and uncreate it all? Right, yes. Wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So, and Nura says, I've always been made wrong for not knowing what I want in specific, but now I realize I've been clear on the energy. How does it get any better than that? And that's so true. And thank you for saying that, because it is, we do know the energy. And where we go into where we limit ourselves is when we try to get specific and we try to define it and we try to come up with what this reality says, and we don't match. It's the square peg in the round hole, because somewhere we have always gotten the energy.
Well, the other thing is that our reality, the reality that we're aware of that's beyond this reality, isn't something that exists yet.
So exactly.
It's not
like
something
the airplane didn't exist for the Wright brothers. They had nothing to look at and go, oh, it's that.
They had a bird.
They had a bird.
They looked at a bird.
And a willingness to say, I'm going there, whether everybody on the planet thinks I'm crazy or not.
And everybody thought they were crazy. And I mean, the versions that they started out with the airplane, I wasn't there. Maybe I was there. But I mean, we're like running versions where they were flapping like birds, I mean, like, so they just started with what they had, knowing something else must be possible, that if that thing can fly, something else must be able to fly. Yes. But And that's the same with the light bulb, same with the phone. It's like all of these major inventions that we now just take for granted.
Yes.
Are started out with somebody knowing they were possible.
Yes.
And not giving up on them.
They had the energy of possibility, and then they just kept choosing, kept choosing, kept choosing, kept choosing, kept choosing. And it's sort of like, so Nura and everybody, when you perceive the energy and you go, oh, I've always known that. So it's like, are you willing to keep asking for that to show up in your life? And when something comes along and it matches the energy, even if it makes no sense to your brain, will you choose it? Because it matches.
Rarely makes sense to your brain.
Right, rarely.
Yeah, yes. Because like your brain needs that. It's a cataloging system. It needs reference points. That's how it functions. Your brain functions from reference points and connection points to the past. That's how your brain functions.
Yep.
So the energy of the future is not in your brain. It's the sensation of a future that you have. And so what matches? How do you know what matches? Well, for me, it's like, what's light for you? What's light for me is true for me. Like when I have that sense of space, it's like, oh, that's a total match for, it didn't show up the way I thought it would, but there it is. There's the match. And that's in every 10 seconds. That's like, as you're creating your life, as you're choosing your day, as you're 10 seconds to live the rest of my life, what would I choose moment, right?
Totally. Yeah. And that's really what happened to me, is getting just like clear on the energy that I desired as my life and inviting that in. And then an opportunity came for a job, and I went, and it was like a more of an admin kind of role. And I've always been more of the leader kind of role. And I was like, well, that doesn't, oh, yes, it does. My brain wanted to go, you're not an admin. You're the leader of the team. You're not the support.
Which is so funny, because in your role, you're the leader of almost every team.
Right. But it didn't start out that way. But the thing was, when I just stopped, I wanted to go to my brain and go, well, that doesn't match. That doesn't match what I do.
Yeah.
But then went, wait a minute, that energy does match what I'm asking for. So, okay, yes. And then from there, it just, so the willingness to know that you know, whether it makes any sense, and to choose it, trusting that you know, and then letting it just kind of, you keep choosing and it keeps evolving and it keeps unfolding, which is where this conversation started. Then you get to the point of, oh, the future that I chose way back there, it's actually showing up right now, and it is out of definition. I cannot define it. It is beyond every limitation I've been functioning is. It's beyond my ability to control. And that's when the what now moment happened for me.
What now?
I can't reel this back in if I wanted to. I can't, there's not enough Marnie to control the creation anymore. Which is what I asked for, which is what I'm going, I asked for this. And
let me ask you something. So you're in the moment. You're in that moment. You're like, so much. It's so much. So what did you, maybe not even cognitively, what did you ask to get to that next moment where you were able to acknowledge that this is what was showing up?
I actually asked for more still. So it was really a very clear moment of, wow, this is what I've been asking, the future I've been asking for, and it is way bigger than I can control. And would I like to stop here? And I went, no. What's it going to take for this to go even bigger? What's it going to take for this to go even more out of control? So it's really simply a choice of, I could stop. My life's way better than it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. I could stop
here. You could cancel.
And it wouldn't be wrong.
No.
It would be fine. And do I desire to stop, or would I like to ask for more? I'd like to ask for more.
Totally. It's just more fun.
It is more fun. It's more of the adventure, right? Like the adventure. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? We've got a bunch of people online with us, which is really cool, on Facebook, and we've got some in our chat. So if you guys have any questions or anything's coming up for you, feel free to post it. I've got you here with me.
Hi. I'm so glad she's texting.
We got Gayle, Jenny, Maxine, Jennifer, Janine, Nura, Sophia, Celine. So many people. So cool.
So let me ask you. So have you had a similar, like the what now of what you were choosing as your future showing up, and what was it for you? What was that, and what was kind of the, I guess, catalyst to keep you moving?
I've had a lot of those moments. Recently, it's the shit moment hasn't been occurring as much. And that's what I think, that's really what I was looking at with this topic, is like, one of the things that's really been changing for me is, I think it's more I don't know how to put this into words. I'm going to try, but I guess more like the allowance and the receiving of the change instead of the resistance to the change. And that's really different for me, because I'm really used to like resistance is the only word I can come up with for that. Oh
Right.
my God.
Yeah.
There hasn't been as much, oh my God. There's been a lot more of like, okay, whoosh, like really just like making myself bigger
Yeah.
energetically and going, okay, cool. Like a great real life example was I recently said yes to a full-time contract position, really, with access to get this new website launched. And it was light and it matched the energy. And so in saying yes to that, all of a sudden my plate was like overfull. Like I had these other projects that I had already said yes to, and so I was all of a sudden had the opportunity to be overwhelmed.
Yes.
And I was for a few days. I was like, oh shit. It was like,
Yes.
and then I was like, okay, so what? I just literally asked myself, so what else can I choose? What else can I choose? And I looked at these little other things and I was like, okay, I can message that person and say this. I can message that person and get that ball rolling. I can do this. I do need to take care of this. So I'm going to schedule that. But I just started, instead of going to overwhelm, I actually just started asking, what choices do I have here that I've never considered?
Yes.
Would I like to continue saying yes to this contract thing? Okay, cool. That means these amount of hours and this amount of time. That's
Right.
fun for me. So that also means that these other things are either going to take a back seat or something else needs to be chosen there. But where I would normally go to feeling stressed or disempowered or anxious about that, I just chose something. I just asked, like, what else could I choose here, and created something different.
Yeah.
So what that did is that actually gave me space, that gifted me the space to be me.
Yes.
It was really, really simple and not hard.
Yeah.
But
made a
that's
different
new.
choice,
I'm
right?
used to making it harder.
Right. Yeah, because it's supposed to be. Well, and that's the thing I kind of got just recently was when that overwhelm hits and I notice I'm in overwhelm, I'll stop and go, oh, I'm just brushing up against the limitation that I have put in place. Would I like to stay here or would I like to go beyond? Oh, I'd like to go beyond. What else can I choose? What you just said.
Yeah.
But so when I recognized, oh, overwhelm is nothing more than going, limitation, here's where you're stopping you. What would you like to do? Would you like to stay in your limitation? No, I would really love to go beyond. So what?
Yeah, and the only other thing I wanted to add to that, and this is there's two pieces that were recent awarenesses for me. One is from the 10 Commandments book from the interesting point of view section, and the other's from Need and Tug. And basically, from interesting point of view in that chapter in that book, Gary talks about how frustration is just a choice.
Yes.
I'd never seen it as a choice.
Right.
I'd never seen overwhelm and frustration and all of that as a choice. I'd always seen it as of course I'm going to feel that way. Look at what's going on. So that was my first sort of inkling of like, oh, I choose frustration and overwhelm a lot. So starting to acknowledge that it was a choice started to give me this awareness of like, okay, so what else could I choose?
Yeah.
And then when I listened to the Need and Tug telecall, and he tells this other elaborate story, and I did a video on it, but about how this one particular incident where he was tugging anger and proof of his anger and why he should be angry into his world. And I was like, oh, so I've been looking at that in regards to like having a lot on my plate or everything showing up that I've been asking for in a really different way, going, okay, so if I wasn't choosing stress or if I wasn't choosing overwhelm, what else could I be choosing? Because that's been getting me back in touch with like, if I were truly being me in this particular situation and not tapping into everybody else's universe around this particular topic that is going into all of this upset.
Right. Yes.
What would I be choosing? What would I be being here?
Yeah.
So that Daniel asked, what are some ways to ask for more? That's a really practical, and I know you have to go soon, so we'll keep this short, but that's a really practical application of asking for more, is really continually getting back in touch with, if I were truly being me, what would I choose? And what choices do I have available to me right now that maybe nobody else has available to them in this moment?
Yes. And actually, it might not seem like it goes together, but choosing interesting point of view, I have that point of view for everything that comes up, is a way to ask for more, because where we cut off and stop the receiving of more is when we're judging something and resisting something. And so the more we have the capacity for receiving all of it, the judgment and the good, the bad, and the ugly, the more we are being an invitation for more to come into our life. So interesting point of view. I have that point of view is a tool that allows us to drop our barriers and receive whatever's going on. And when I'm willing to receive whatever's going on, more is going to show up because I'm an allowance of more. I'm saying, It can,
We
yes.
have no barriers to anything showing up. It can all show up, and it's all just an interesting point of view.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a lot of meetings all the time, and one of the things I've noticed my tendency is to kind of, my energy will shift with the energy of it. So if everybody else is stressed, I will all of a sudden feel stressed. And I've been really looking at that lately and becoming aware that I do that. And then going and really asking myself, okay, so if I were truly being me, what would I be being? And that is also, that's being interesting point of view of like going, well, it's an interesting point of view that everybody else is feeling this way, or everybody, if this is all going on, like what's available to me that I haven't yet chosen.
And it's just what you said, what's available to me. And sometimes when we're so aware of everybody else around us, so we're picking up on all the energies that they're choosing and all the thoughts that they've got going on, we're just aware of all of that. We get so into their universes that we forget we actually create our own and choose our own, and that there are energies available in every single moment that I can choose. So when there's, you know, whatever, there's conflict going on and you're there and there's conflict going on and you're like, okay, I can either get in the fight or flight of this. I can get in the defend or take a side. I can go, what would I like to choose? Oh man, I would really like to just have gratitude right now. What would it take?
Nura's raising her hand. Go, Nura.
Okay, go, Nura.
What's your question? We've got 2 minutes. Marty's got another meeting.
I do.
Cool. I'm gonna watch she's typing that.
So, but how cool is it that those energies are available and it's as simple as a choice? And it's so, I have been hanging around the tools of access for like 6 years, since 2011. And everything is about choice. And you hear it all the time. Choose, it's a choice, and you have choice and choose every 10 seconds. And it's actually just light bulb, like recently going, I actually get to choose. I actually get to create a reality beyond this reality in every single moment of every single day. And I am the one who chooses or doesn't.
Yes.
End of story.
And Nura's asking, I don't know if you can answer this now, but I also just got a full-time offer, and it means I have to give up my gypsy freelancer mode, but can get a car, etc. Not sure what to choose. Yeah. My favorite question is, honestly, I POC and POD. I destroy and create all of my decisions, decisions, conclusions, DJCCs, decisions,
projection, or conclusions,
computations, and conclusions first.
Yeah.
And then I will ask myself, truth, what will my life be like in 5 years if I use this thing? And what will my life be like in 5 years if I don't? And you get a sense of the lightness, and you literally trust yourself and go with that. That is my favorite question for any choice, because there's no right choice and there's no wrong choices. There's only choices that either create your future or decay your future. And that's it.
Yes.
And even that's not wrong.
Right. And another tool I love is to really like spend some time embellishing each choice. Like really put yourself in, okay, choosing the job. And this is what, you know,
3 days even. You could
3 days, actually 3 days is great. You know, and if I don't know what kind of time frame you've got for giving an answer on this job or not, but if you have the space to do 3 days of I'm choosing it, 3 days of I'm not choosing it, and really allow yourself to perceive the energy of it, you can really get a sense of what it's going to be like for you. And the other thing is always, what if there's no wrong choice? And what if you made one and you went, you know what, this isn't working for me, I'm going to choose something else. My 9-year-old, beginning of the school year, he was at one particular school. He got offered to go into this gifted and talented program. And we sat there with, you know, question, what will your life be like? And he goes, I want to do the new school. So we went to the new school, and 2 weeks in, every day he's getting in my car, and he's not the happy, joyful being. I know it's not working for him, but I know he's trying to make it work for him because he made the choice. So he needed to stick with his choice. And finally I just looked at him, I said, so you chose to go to school here. Is it working for you? No. And then, but, and I said, so what if you could just choose again? And he just looked at me, and I said, nothing says you have to stay here. Does it feel, what did you get from that? Like, what did you learn from that? And he went off on his whole, I have this and this and this. And I said, is it lighter for you to go back where you were? And he goes, so much, Mom. So we changed the next day, you know? So what if you just had total space to choose and go, yay, it works. I'm loving it. It's working for me. And if it didn't, you went, okay, it's not. Let me choose something else. So in seconds, we're not locked in, right? No matter what anyone else says, you're not locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we got to go. But we'll be back next week the same time. Thank you guys so much for being live with us. And if you're watching this in the future, thank you for being here and being you.
And we don't know what we're talking about next week, but we will in a day or two.
But you'll see it on Facebook.
Yes, you will.
All right. See you guys later.
Thank you. Bye.